Hey guys, welcome back to the Football Diary podcast again. And we join with Myles today, and we are celebrating the fact that Jadon Sancho is finally a Manchester United player. Brilliant to be able to say that. Brilliant to see all the publicity shots of him in his United shirt, talking about how he's wanted this for so long. We feel the same, mate. We feel the same. Honestly, such an exciting move. Myles, you're not a United fan. You're excited even, aren't you?
Yeah, definitely. No, genuinely am. I think I said it to you the other day, and I was tweeting about it the other day, that it's the first transfer to happen not at my club for me to be this excited about in a really long time, because I just think he's such a brilliant player. I think he's exactly what United need on that right-hand side. They've got a lot of talented wide men who are kind of number nines, kind of wingers. No one really naturally on that right-hand side other than potentially Dan James. This is exactly the missing piece. A young English talent who has bundles of pace, fantastic energy, so much creativity, some flair as well. So United for years have struggled with low blocks and how to break teams down when it can't be a counter-attack. You've now got someone who can do that, and also the counter-attack that United are good at. That's a fantastic bit of acquisition to me. It was obvious that they wanted him. It's typical United that they get him a year too late. How often do we see that happen? But,
well, to be honest, I think the fee we've paid is 85 million euros. And I think last year you were talking 100 plus million euros. So that last year of his contract that he's entering has made that big a difference to the fee. So it's kind of smart on United's part.
I disagree, though, because I feel like United failed to qualify from their Champions League group last year. So what revenue would they have brought in if they'd stayed in the Champions League for a bit longer with a bit more attacking talent? What about if they'd won a cup competition because they had that extra bit of depth in their squad? Sometimes I do think, of course it is, but it doesn't feel like a what if with a player of Sancho's quality. I think it is undoubtable that he is going to have a brilliant impact at Man United. I think so our friend Chris that we've talked about, he and I every year will do our predictions of what we think is going to happen in the Premier League at the start of each season. Now we did ours too early last year because I had Man United down to win the league, and Young Player of the Year was going to be Jadon Sancho, and then he didn't sign. But honestly, I feel like that's the level of impact he could have. I don't necessarily think United are going to win the league this year. I think it might be a bit tighter than last season was. But I do think Sancho will have a massive impact on that attacking line. And what could have been this season, when they were closer than people probably anticipated they were to a few trophies, he might have been the thing that took him over the edge. Even if it was the thing that clinched the Europa League, I think they would have been in the Champions League still with someone like Sancho. But I think it's a great signing. It's brilliant to see him in England, and I'm glad that we can see him every week. But fair play to him for what he achieved in Germany as well. He won the DFB Pokal last year with Dortmund, which is a great way for him to go out. And he's come on leaps and bounds there. He was always a great talent. He was always someone that inspired, and people knew he was going to be a good player. But the progression he has made at Dortmund, it was the right club for him. And he's kind of paved the way, hasn't he, for a new generation of English talent to look at those moves abroad and what they can achieve. You look at Jude Bellingham out there now. You look at a few of the English players that have had loan spells out there even. I'm thinking the likes of Reece Nelson. Had some time out there and was successful.
Ademola Lookman, I think. Ethan Ampadu for a while. Yeah, there's a few, weren't there, at the same time.
Sancho seemed to set that precedent and say, look, this is what we can do. Germany are obviously looking at the young English talent that are around right now and trying to work out if they can copy that model, basically, which is a great sign for English football. But Jadon Sancho is easily one of the best exports from England in a really long time. So having him back and having a closer eye on him for fans in this country would be really exciting.
Yeah, I think so. I think the fact that he moved to Germany at 17 as well takes some guts, you know. And that's basically him telling Pep Guardiola, I'm not happy playing a part-time few-minute role in your team. I'm ready now. That takes a lot of guts. And I think to go over to a foreign country at that age and do what he's done, and some of the statistics for his assists and goals are unreal.
Unbelievable.
Fair play to him. I think that's a character that any squad would want, just that kind of bravery, that kind of ambition, you know, and he's not sat on the bench. I know Phil Foden's done a similar thing at City and bided his time and got his chance in the end. But Sancho's more impatient than that. He wanted it now. And to be fair, by the time he was 18, he clocked up such an impressive record there that he was almost destined for greatness.
He broke the record, didn't he, for the youngest ever player in the Bundesliga to reach double figures for goals and assists in a season. Like, that's a great stat for an English player to go and do that in another country. It's not really something we've seen much of in the last 20 years. You have to go back to kind of the 90s when there were a few players like Gascoigne and Ince going over to Italy. And obviously then there was the period where Beckham and Owen and Jonathan Woodgate went to Real Madrid. But short of that, it's very rare that English players have made that journey unless they're the sort of caliber of Bradley Wright Phillips or Matt Derbyshire. So it's nice to see Sancho be so successful. That is what is a really likable club as well. A club that has helped his development. He's played with fantastic attacking players there, with great attacking intent, and that's really developed his game. He'll have learnt a lot off the likes of Marco Reus. He's worked fantastically with Haaland. So it's the right time for him to move to another club, I think. I think he's done enough to show he'll be a world beater. I think he's a great addition. Is that all United need? Definitely not. I think they could still do with another number 9 because obviously Cavani probably won't play 38 games in the league this season and cup competitions. No one else seems to be a natural number 9. I know they talk about Greenwood, but we'll see with that.
No, I think he sees him as a number 9 potentially when Cavani moves on because I think he's got one more season, Cavani at United.
Yeah.
Maybe more. We'll see how he gets on. But I think he sees Greenwood as opposed to Martial as that out-and-out striker. But Jadon Sancho, his position is pretty flexible. We've earmarked him on the right, and I think United have to play down the right-hand side because we just haven't had any quality down there. And we're so predictable as a team going down the left pretty much all the time. So I'm guessing he'll play most of his games there. But tell me what you know about his time in the Bundesliga from what you've seen, for anyone that might not have seen anything beyond YouTube footage of Jadon Sancho.
To be honest, he's one of those players where his YouTube reel will look absolutely outstanding and make him look like one of the best players in the world. But that's kind of true as well. That is what his game is. He's a player with a lot of flair, a lot of talent, a lot of skill. He's not afraid to take a man on and try and beat the fullback. But also, he's got such a creative outlay. He seems to take a great pride in assists. Yeah. He's always looking for what the best route to goal is. He had a bit of a slow patch at the start of last season, but really quickly found his form again and was instrumental in Dortmund rising back up the table. They struggled last season for a while, but ended up in the top 4 and won a trophy. That's a fantastic outlay for them, and he was a huge part of that. He's got bags of pace. His passing ability and his range is fantastic. He's got great vision, and he's just very committed to what he does. I think it's a shame for England fans that they didn't see more of him in the Euros. He could have made a much bigger difference than he was able to in the end. And sadly, he'll be remembered for a penalty miss. But I think give it a bit of time with him playing for Manchester United, and he'll be an absolute regular in that England team. He definitely will.
I was going to say, do you think that as we hope and as we expect he will do well for Manchester United, that kind of success will probably erase what happened at Euro 2020, maybe? Because, I mean, that's enough to scar a player, isn't it?
It takes some time, but think about, was it Euro 2004 with the Rooney-Ronaldo incident?
Yeah, it was.
How quickly did Man United fans love both of them again?
Yeah.
That football's fickle. So, they'll be mad about it for 5 minutes and then they'll move on. Football's fickle, including the players. Jadon Sancho talking about, this is his dream and what he's always wanted, when he's openly admitted he's a massive Chelsea fan, posted photos about how Manchester is blue in the past. Like, look, it's football. It is what it is. The main thing is United fans will be happy when he's bringing success to that club. And I don't doubt that he's a big part of what could bring them success back.
Yeah, I think when we think of last season, and you said the difference he could have made if United had paid the money, I'm thinking of those games where United lost points, where we drew instead of won. We struggle against teams, like you say, with a low block and a really deep defensive line. And we had Dan James just running aimlessly down the right, trying to find a way through, but with no creativity to do anything once he got there. And that, I think, is where Sancho could have got us those extra 10 points, for example. Which would have made us challenges at the end of the day if we'd have had that kind of creative output on that side of the pitch, you know?
Oh, it's another world-class attacking player. So not only that, but it alleviates some of the pressure from players like Bruno Fernandes and Pogba if he stays as well. When people are accusing Fernandes of being a bit more anonymous in big games against bigger teams, well, now he doesn't have to do it all on his own. It's very hard for you to control a game where you are the sole attacking outlet. And as good as Rashford can be at times, he's not a creator. The only creator United have had for a while was Fernandes and Pogba to an extent. Now they've got an extra option. Rashford is a lot more go for goal at any opportunity than a creator. Sancho will find the best route to goal. If that's not him, he's happy to find that ball. And he can. So I think that's a great addition. I still think they need a bit of depth in centre mid. I would sign another number 9 because as good as Cavani is, he's not going to play 50 games in a season. And I don't... Greenwood's finishing is fantastic. His pace is brilliant. I don't think he's the complete number 9 yet. I think that's going to take a little bit of time. But he will get there. And obviously, if they get the Varane deal over the line as well, that's fantastic business for them. And maybe another fullback. So it should be a busy summer for Man United. I hope they don't stop with Sancho for their sake.
Yeah, I think the United fans would concur. I think every summer we've been frustrated by promises made but not kept. But it seems like there's been a bit of a shake-up at board level now and at director level, if you like. So that's needed for a while. And if we can continue to sign players that fit the holes that we have in the team, then that makes perfect sense. It's the first time I've Vegas an era.
And I think the other thing about Sancho is it's not just that he fits the mold of the position that you need, but he also fits the recruitment mold as well. He's a young English player, so it's exactly the sort of thing that Man United would want right now. They're not spanking big money on Angel Di Maria, who was a great player when you signed him, but it wasn't a strategy, it wasn't a plan. It was a round peg in a square hole, wasn't it? Whereas Sancho is exactly what you seem to need right now, and also a perfect profile of it. So I think it's a great signing. I think it's a really, really good signing.
Okay, moving on to Arsenal. And Ben White's almost confirmed as well. What's your makings of that? He's been criticised, or his fee has been criticised. Worth the money, 50 million?
It's hard because in today's market, who knows what anyone is worth. It seems that after the pandemic, transfer values are starting to decline again a little bit. We talked about the fact that Sancho's value dropped. Yeah, part of that will be the contract. Part of it will just be a financial need. We talked last week about all the free transfers that clubs were making happen.
True.
Now, Ben White is a young English player as well and is going for about 20 million less than Jadon Sancho for a centre-back at Brighton. That seems like a big outlay to me. But if it's what solves Arsenal's defensive problems, then fantastic. I don't think it was not Arsenal's priority to sign a centre-back, a young centre-back, if I'm honest. So it does surprise me that they spent that much money on bringing one in. They've got Gabriel already, who I think is a fantastic defender, and with a good partner, I think will be really, really strong for Arsenal.
Yeah.
They've let William Saliba go out on loan again, which I can't understand because I think he's fantastic as well.
Yeah. They spent good money on him as well, didn't they? It's a good sort of 25, 30 million.
They've got the players there. They need more depth, definitely. Is Ben White going to have the impact that, let's say, Van Dijk has had, or Laporte and Diaz had at Man City, Maguire even at Man United? Is he good enough to lift Arsenal that much? Not really. He's a very good centre-back. If you have ambitions of breaking back into the top 4, I don't think he's who you sign. There's a reason Arsenal have got a free run at him at 50 million. And we're not talking about Liverpool who have needed centre-backs looking at him. Man United who need a centre-back. They're not looking at him. I think he'll do well there. It is a lot of money. Will the fans care about that, though? Probably not. They've said for ages they want money to be spent. And if at the end of the day, if he does a good enough job, then great. It doesn't really matter how much the fee is to him. But I think they could probably get better. There's talk of Sevilla looking to sell Koundé right now. And he would be less than 50 million. It'd be interesting to see what Yeah, I think so. They're talking about the fact that they need the money in, to be honest. That's why they've done this swap deal with Spurs as well. Everyone's broke, and Spanish football is the one that's been hit the most. I'll be really interested to see what the fee for Varane is, because we've not actually seen that talked about much, have we?
No, they're talking in the ballpark of 45, 50 million. But again, that's a final year of contract sort of level of fee, isn't it, really?
And I know that Ben White is a lot younger, but that, to me, says it all. Really, if you can bring a player of Varane's quality in for that sort of money, regardless of his contract situation. I don't know. I think he's a good player. And he did really well at Leeds. And then they wanted to get hold of him last summer. Brighton stood firm and said no. So it was always going to take big money to get him out of there. Yeah. And fair play to him. He's earned the move. He had a really, really good season. Obviously went with England to the Euros in the end. And although he wasn't used, that would be a great experience for him. I don't doubt that he will be part of the England setup for quite a while. He's clearly a good defender. I don't think he's the kind of world-class signing that will get Arsenal fans really inspired, although maybe knowing some Arsenal fans, they'll all of a sudden talk about him like he's the best centre-back in the world. But
yeah. I think they're investing in potential, and I get that, but they're paying that English tax that comes with English players under the age of sort of 25, aren't they, really? And that's a shame, because I think Ben White deserves a chance to prove his worth. And I honestly think he will find his feet at that level. If he's good enough for an England squad, I think he's good enough for Arsenal, because Arsenal are not in the best shape at the minute.
No, and it's good to see him investing in future prospects. But I wonder how well they're doing that right now. When we say, they let Saliba go again. Guendouzi's gone. They're looking at getting rid of a lot of the younger English players that they've got, like Maitland-Niles, who seems like quite a good player. Joe Willock might be moving on to Newcastle still again.
Very true.
Reece Nelson's not really had time to come through there. They're talking about Nketiah going to Crystal Palace now. So they've got a lot of young players. But it's the same thing as we were saying with Real Madrid last week. You can bring all these young players in to have a plan. But if you don't utilise them in the right way, then what's the point? Now, on the flip side of that, Smith Rowe signed a new deal, and Saka is obviously one of the first names on the team sheet for them. So they're finding a balance. I don't doubt that. Is Ben White really the best they could do right now? I feel like if they looked outside of the English players and outside of the English market, they could probably bring someone more influential, and even if it was a bit more of a short term.
Yeah, I think for centre-back, you're right. I've heard rumours they are looking at Hossam Aouar as well. We talked about that last time. Not sure if that's been put on the back burner or if it's happening or not. But also James Maddison, I've heard talk of that. Again, James Maddison, when they've got players like Joe Willock, doesn't make any sense to me at all.
I can't see James Maddison happening at all. They've just signed Smith Rowe to a new deal and given him the number 10 shirt. So I can't imagine they'll be looking to bring Maddison in now for the kind of money it would command. Also, if you were James Maddison, would you go to Arsenal from Leicester right now?
Well, it's a bit like the Brendan Rodgers move into Spurs, isn't it, really? Yeah, Leicester are doing all right.
Yeah, I'd say Leicester won a cup last season. All right, they just missed out in top 4, but they're knocking on that door a lot closer than some of the other clubs that would be linked with him are. So I don't think that'll happen. Who was the other one you said then? Aouar. Aouar is a fantastic player, and if they can sign him, that would be incredible. I think I said last week, the talk is that Lyon are only asking for about 25 million now. Yeah. But I did see potentially that Arsenal were backing out of that deal, and instead it was going to be either Spurs or Liverpool. If that's the case, and Arsenal don't step in and try it and get something done there.
What is that then? That lack of ambition, or is it just you think the player's not interested in Arsenal? Or I mean, because he seems like again an answer to a question that they need to fill with, basically. Why is that not a done deal already?
The same thing that Arsenal fans have been complaining about for a really long time, and rightfully so, and I feel like this is a perfect indication of that. A lack of strategy. They don't know what they're trying to achieve. It will be really apparent to you or I or any other person who spectates football on a regular basis what Arsenal need right now. And a midfielder like Aouar, who can be creative, be a bit more box to box, get forward and get some goals, but also is just strong in that midfield. Plus he's young, has bags of potential. That's exactly what Arsenal need right now. Because short of Thomas Partey now, their centre mid is looking light. They've still got El Neni around. Ceballos has gone back and he didn't particularly have the best time. Torreira's gone. Guendouzi's gone. So where do they turn next? They brought a couple of young players in this summer. But to me, Aouar is the most proven out of all of them. And if you can get him for a good fee, he looks sensational. You've got to imagine that French connection with Arsenal is still there as well. Arsenal as a club will mean something to younger French players who have grown up watching Henry and Vieira excel there. No Wenger. I feel like it would be an easy enough move if they initiated it. Maybe I'm overlooking something, but it seems like an obvious one to me that I would go for him if I was them.
Yeah, I think so. And whoever does get him, because he won't stay Lyon for long, because they're going to get an absolute steal of a player as well, because he's a future France international. I think he's just unfortunate to be behind some very talented midfielders there, isn't he?
Oh, but, and more coming through too. But yeah, I don't think he will be at Lyon for much longer. There was talk of him going last summer, obviously. Arsenal were linked then, Atletico Madrid, Real Madrid. There's talk again that Aouar might favour a move to Spain this year, as well as Camavinga, I read the other day, who we've obviously talked about. Yeah. But, well, it'll be interesting to see, because I do think he's a great talent.
Yeah. Another curveball for you. It just occurred to me that we talked about Everton last week and their crazy, weird signings, and they signed Demarai Gray for less than £2 million. I think that's actually pretty smart business.
How has that happened?
No idea. I think
I couldn't understand that.
Leverkusen signed him for about 2 million, so they've actually let him go at a loss.
After 6 months.
I don't know how that's happened, but he is a very good player. Very good player. And he's young. I think he's still 25, capped by England, or at least called up by England. And he was on the radar for Gareth Southgate for a while. So I think that's smart business there. Less than 2 million quid for a player like him. Brilliant.
I don't think he'll necessarily start every week for Everton, but I couldn't believe it when I saw the fee. 1.4 million or something like that.
Yeah.
When was the last time you saw a Premier League club sign a young English player who actually will go in their squad for that kind of money? That's like League One transfer value these days.
He's not exactly shamed himself in the Bundesliga. He's done okay. He's got to consist pretty well.
It was a short period. I wonder how settled he was there. But I know Leverkusen are another one who might be trying to make a bit of money. There's talk, and I'm very excited by it if it happens, of Leon Bailey coming to Villa. I might have mentioned it last time we recorded.
You did. Yeah.
They turned down an initial bid of 25 million, supposedly, but Villa will go back with 30, hopefully.
Brilliant. No one exciting player. Yeah, I think so. I think he's, again, another piece of a puzzle for Villa that will make perfect sense, wouldn't it?
Yeah, so we'll see.
What's going on with the scouting in the Premier League this season? There's so many teams just getting it right, it feels like. It's quite refreshing, you know?
I think so, but it's also been quite slow, I think. Like, Crystal Palace are starting to bring some players in now out of a necessity. Obviously, Everton have done some odd business with Townsend, Demarai Gray, Begovic and stuff. But short of that, we're running out of confirmed transfers to really even think about at the moment. Yeah. I'll be interested to see whether that's because people are late coming back from the Euros, clubs are still assessing, and they're still in their pre-season, working out what they need. But I think maybe we'll have a bit more of an active last week or two of the window, but it might just be one of those things where COVID has really hit more than we kind of anticipated.
I think the pace of it is slower purely because teams are trying to get it right first time, because it's an expensive mistake to make now if you're spending 20 plus million on a player and it doesn't work out, you know, because I think if you're going to sell them on, you need to get some kind of growth in value, don't you? So people are buying, teams are buying at a lower price and looking for players maybe with a year or so on their contract. And it's kind of working out for the better, I think, for the football transfer market in general. How many times have we mentioned inflated fees on this podcast and how Neymar skewed everything with his transfer? You know, maybe things are actually settling down now, hopefully. And teams are on a bit more of an even keel.
You won't last.
No, probably not. Once COVID's finished and sort of relatively in the past, I think we might get some kind of financial muscle flexed again, you know. Hope not.
Yeah.
Before we go on, I just want to say, just hit like and subscribe if you can. We're relatively new here. So all the links to our socials are in the description below, as is the link to our Discord. So get on board and join the conversation if you can. Myles, I'm going to throw one at you. Talk me through Roma. What's going on in their season so far? We've got quite a few Italian viewers. We see you guys. We see you. Since we covered the Euros, we have a little pocket of Italy watching us. So what's going on in Serie A and what's going on in Roma at the minute that's changing particularly? Obviously, Mourinho's there. What's he doing so far?
Well, obviously, he's bringing Portuguese people with him. Rui Patricio signed from Wolves and is their new keeper for the season, and a very good goalkeeper. I think Wolves will be disappointed to see him go. Roma played yesterday in a pre-season friendly and won 5-2, which was nice.
I think they won 10-0 in the one before that as well. Knocking in some goals.
Yeah, I don't know how much I'd read into that one, though. But no, the main reason I mentioned yesterday's one was because the most exciting thing that could happen to Roma right now happened yesterday, and Nicola Zaniolo came back and scored again.
Amazing.
He's such a fantastic talent, and I'm really excited to see him again. I hope he can stay injury-free this season. I'll be interested to see how much Mourinho puts faith into him. But Roma are quietly going about developing a good squad. They've let some players go again. Cengiz Under's gone back out to Marseille this time, and Justin Kluivert's followed him over to France as well, which is a shame to see those two not get a chance, because I do really like, particularly Under. I really think he could have done a good job with Roma this season, but they're still looking at what else they can bring in the market. Xhaka's still not quite confirmed, but it looks like that will probably happen at some point. There's talk of Alex Tellers as well from Man United joining. Obviously, Spinazzola's got that lengthy injury, so they're going to need some extra depth at fullback. And Tellers will be frustrated at his lack of playing time, but what can you do when Luke Shaw has become Roberto Carlos in the last 6 months?
Do you know what? I don't think he'd begrudge him that either. I think he likes the vibe at Manchester United, and I think if he did leave, it would be just for a temporary loan. So we'll see. And while we're on Serie A as well, obviously Cristiano Ronaldo is almost kind of confirmed that he's staying at Juventus, which is great news for them. How do you see the Serie A title race playing out this season? Is it going to be more wide open or back to how it normally is?
I think it will be Juventus' year again, quite comfortably, if I'm honest, because it seems that Inter Milan aren't really in a position to be retaining right now. They're looking more to let people go than build. There's talk of them bringing in Hector Bellerin now to replace Hakimi, which that feels like a downgrade. They obviously have lost Conte as well, which is a big deal. And mainly, Allegri's back at Juventus. And they look like they are trying to develop something there. Look, Nedved came out the other day and said that Ronaldo will be there next season. And that'll be really interesting to see what Allegri can get out of him. I think they all need to just acknowledge what Ronaldo's purpose is there. And maybe a bit more like Zidane did towards the end of his time with Ronaldo. You're not going to play every game. Let's have some time on the bench. Let's relax you here. Let's bring you on in the important moments. Let's get you going to the Champions League. Because we know that Allegri loves Dybala. Absolutely loves Dybala. So hopefully we can start to see the Paulo Dybala that we all wanted to see.
You love Dybala, don't you?
Oh, he's unreal. He's a fantastic talent. He's one of the best players I've ever seen in the flesh as well, because his movement, his intelligence, and the way he holds on to a football is brilliant. I think he could have a really, really strong season again this year, because he'll feel that love that's kind of been missing since Ronaldo came in. He is there. And you got to bear in mind as well, this is a team that has a lot of the Italian stars from the Euros as well. Chiellini and Bonucci will be on absolute highs. Most importantly, Federico Chiesa as well.
Is he going to stay, though? There's so many links with him to elsewhere, but can you see him leaving?
Not a chance. That I think that's already dead in the water. Juventus are very clear they don't want to sell. They've technically not even bought him yet. They buy him at the end of this season. He's on a 2-year loan from Fiorentina. There's talk of Bayern Munich, Chelsea, Man City. I think I read Liverpool today as well, all looking at him. But Juventus will rebuff all of those offers. They see Chiesa as the future, and rightfully so. He's a young player, great attacking talent. Ronaldo's not going to be there forever. They can't rely heavily on Morata. So Chiesa is the one that they want to invest in. There's also talk of Locatelli coming in as well. He's confirmed that if he goes anywhere, he'd like to stay in Italy. I think he came out the other day and said, I definitely won't be joining Arsenal. I'd rather stay at Sassuolo.
Quality.
Who are another interesting one, by the way. Have you seen the new rule that's coming into Serie A as of next season?
I was going to say, the green kit rule, How can they do that to a team that plays in green, like as their home kit?
It does make sense to an extent. It doesn't make sense that it's happening now, because as far as I know, football pitches have always been green. So why is it now a problem? I don't know. But an odd one. But no, I think to answer your question, I think Juventus will be strong favourites for the title this year. AC Milan will be trying to get themselves back in that conversation again. Obviously, Inter will want to retain it. Who knows what Mourinho can achieve? Napoli have got a new manager too. There's been a lot of change in Italy this summer. I think this is going to be a really exciting Serie A season. I'm really looking forward to it. And if Roma are scoring 15 goals in 2 friendlies under Mourinho, then maybe he's changed his ways.
Maybe. Again, the opposition wasn't that much to shout about. But thinking of Juventus, you mentioned Allegri coming back being a positive thing, but he didn't exactly leave with the best impression on the fans. In fact, they sort of derided his way of playing for a while and tried to get a more attacking brand in. They even got Pirlo to kind of play the Pirlo way, which backfired massively. Why are they embracing him now?
Because look what happened when he was gone. They didn't win the title for the first time in 10 years. Sarri didn't really inspire anyone there. And Allegri didn't win the Champions League, but got him close. Now they've added to the puzzle. Since Allegri was last there, like we said, they signed Chiesa. De Ligt is developing there. Ronaldo's there still. And obviously, we know that it's his goal to win that Champions League again. And it just feels like maybe it was the right time to go, do you know what? If we really want this trophy, let's see what Allegri can do. Because at least they were stable. They were winning. And I do think that Juventus fans will want to see that first and foremost for a while at least. I don't think Allegri is going to be there a very long time. I think they will be looking to the future. There's a lot of good young managers out there right now, but I think they need stabilising a bit. It was the wrong job for Pirlo. It was way too early for him.
Yeah.
Sarri never really seemed a big enough name for the club. He's a great tactician, did great at Napoli, but the pressure at Juventus is something else. So Allegri is there to steady that ship, and I feel like he will do that, and he'll definitely bring them at least domestic success. It'll be interesting to see if they can kick on and do better in the Champions League this year, because last year was very disappointing for them.
Well, I agree. I think when Ronaldo was announced that he's pretty much staying, I think that's massively down to the fact that Allegri's there, because they did come so close. And the squad is better than it was when he was there. I think the players they've added have made them even better than they were. So it's exciting times.
You'd maybe argue that the midfield is a bit weaker, to be honest, because they're still looking at, they've got Weston McKennie there. Artur didn't really do much this season. Aaron Ramsey's there, but there's talk that he might be on his way out, and even if he isn't, it's rare that he stays fit. So I do think that they could do with a bit of investment in that midfield. If they bring Locatelli in, I think that'd be a fantastic signing. They've been linked with Aouar as well, but I think any big club in Europe is being linked with him right now. I also saw that Juventus might put a cheeky bid in for Haaland next summer, but I can't see that one, I'll be honest.
I think they'd have to get Ronaldo off the wage bill for that to happen, because he's going to command a huge wage, isn't he?
They are trying to build. They obviously brought in some younger players last season as well. Like I said, they got Weston McKennie and they brought in Kulusevski as well and Chiesa. So they've got a future, even if the spine of their team is aging. Obviously, Chiellini and Bonucci aren't getting any younger as well as Ronaldo, but they do then have De Ligt and Demarai to build around. So yeah, I think Juventus can be a lot more confident this year. I worry about Inter Milan. Obviously, Lukaku will carry them through to an extent, and they've got some fantastic talent still in the squad. But I don't see them being as successful without Conte. I think Hakimi will be a huge miss, and that might not be the only person that they let go either. There's still talk of people looking at Barella as well, and if they let him go, that would be travesty.
It's so sad because, I mean, they were on the cusp of something good. I think the fact that they won the title against massive odds really was a huge achievement, and in Lukaku they've got somebody who's in the form of his life, so it is a shame. But I think Juventus are the team that are going to get back to where they were. I think it was just a blip in their form, wasn't it, last season? So we'll see. I think that's quite an exciting league to watch this season, and I think the effect that the Euros and the winning the Euros will have on Italian football will be quite big. I think people will be wanting to watch these players in action again, and hopefully Serie A will get the exposure it deserves now, because you've been talking about it for so long, blowing the trumpet for the Italian teams, and they haven't really been recognised until they did something as emphatic as win the European Championship. So they deserve it. They deserve this moment. And I think Serie A will probably get a bit more investment on the back of it, because there's going to be a bit of money floating around now, because these players' values have gone up quite a lot. So Italian football, I think, is the place to be at the minute. When you look at La Liga as well, the stark contrast between the two, players are going to want to go somewhere where teams are on the up.
I think the other thing that's interesting is, a bit like we were talking about with England, it's been quite rare for Italian players to leave Italy and be a success. Like, you struggle to think of many. Obviously, back in the day, we had Di Canio, we had Zola in the Premier League, but over the last 20 years, really, we saw players try and move out. We saw people like Immobile go to Dortmund and Sevilla, and it not really work out. He moves back to Lazio, and he's absolutely outstanding. So these players that have impressed us at the Euros, people like Insigne, can you see them outside of Italy, really? I'm not sure.
I'd love to.
I think I would too. Obviously,
I'd love to see Insigne in the Premier League, or even in the Bundesliga would work. You know, I think he'd be a great player to see on a different stage. But why? Why move?
Yeah, I mean, Donnarumma's obviously just gone to PSG, and Verratti's already there, and Jorginho is obviously out. But short of that, it has been rarer. So I do wonder whether we would see much of that. And I think half of that is just down to the community of football. Italian football is a passionate one, and we saw that in the Euros massively.
True.
And the support means a lot to them. So I think it's natural that these players want to stay. I mean, Insigne has been at Napoli for as long as he can be now. I can't imagine he's going to be moving anywhere anytime soon. But if he was any other nationality or any other club, you'd imagine he'd be linked elsewhere by now. Liverpool would be looking at him, or Man City would be looking at him, because we've seen players of that caliber move, but just not him. So fair play to him. I'm interested to see what Serie A will provide this season.
Yeah, I think we'll probably end up covering it a bit more on this pod, really, especially if you've got anything to do with it. So
great.
Watch this space, Italian fans. We're coming for Serie A. Okay, the news has been relatively quiet on the transfer front, as you know. So is there anything else you want to cover before we wrap up, mate?
Looks like I was probably wrong, and Varane is going to join. That's pretty exciting for Man United fans. The only other deals I can think of that were pretty big were DePaul's gone to Atletico Madrid from Udinese after having a great time with Argentina. So fair play to him. It's a good move. Other than that, not really. I mean, I'd be interested to see if some of the rumours materialise. We're still waiting to see what happens with Harry Kane. I imagine that's gone quiet for a reason.
Definitely.
Waiting for Grealish to sign his new contract this week. That's the one.
I hope he does. I really do, because he's in the right place for himself at the minute, I think. Yeah. I say at the minute. I don't mean I think he's going to move, so don't take that the wrong way.
I don't think he's going anywhere.
No, I don't either.
But no, I think it will be interesting to see, like I say, once players are back from international duty, obviously the Olympics are still on as well. There's a lot of players there. It'd be interesting to see if we do start to see more movement, see some more bigger money moves as well. It only takes one, doesn't it? It's a domino effect. There's still a lot of this whole centre-back discussion that could move, and we'll see Koundé move, Varane move. So we'll see whether things start to escalate then. But in the meantime, Jadon Sancho is just the one to be happy about, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's great news. The Premier League's going to be a lot better for him being there. I think it's an exciting move for anyone, unless you're Manchester City, I guess. In which case, it's a bitter pill to swallow, really, isn't it?
I can say that for now, I'm not guaranteeing that he'll stay in there, but for now, he is in my fantasy football team. So we'll see whether I make it that last or not.
So I'm not going to take too much into that, because he was probably in your last year's fantasy football team as well, wasn't he?
Jadon Sancho.
He would have been.
He would have been, but he is now.
Yeah, I agree.
All official.
Exciting times. Anyway, thank you, mate. Appreciate your time, and thank you for watching again. Again, please hit like and subscribe if you can. Join in the comments, have a little chat with us. We'd love to hear from you. But in the meantime, until the next massive transfer story comes up, we'll see you again soon, mate. Cheers.
See you later.
See you later.